All right, thank you. So as I said before, my name is Akishma Payne. I attend Hampton School currently, and we are gonna have an amazing event today with Rhodes Scholar Tonya Williams. I hope all of you are excited. I definitely am. I'm looking forward to learning from her, learning about her journey, how she reached where she is currently. I hope all of you have very inquisitive questions, very interested, are very interested in learning about her, basically her life, how she got to where she is today. Can Kodia Allen, our secretary, introduce herself next, please?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kodia Allen. Sorry for the inconvenience here. Now my camera cannot be on like Akishma at the moment, but I hope the voice will make do. So, as Akishma said, I am the secretary for Region 5, and we are part of JPA. Everyone's a part of JPA at this point, as long as you're prefects and just a student body, in general, we are a part of JPA. For today's event, I'm not going to lie to you guys. How Kishma saying, you should have a lot of questions. I don't have any questions. I don't know what I'm going to ask. But I think going through her presentation, I will, figure out something. I mean, it's best to be honest right now, right? As Akishma would normally say, this is a safe space. And, we can talk about absolutely anything. It's a safe space where you can turn on your cameras. We'll all talk to each other. You can unmute, you can type in the chat, anything at all. But overall, I want us to have a great experience today. And further on, we'll try and figure out which schools we have on with us. If you'd like to rename your name on the Zoom list and put your school beside it, that would be great. But I am from Manchester High, the best school ever. And I am in fifth form, everyone. But yeah, let's just hope we have a great event today, and I'll hand over to another member of the executive body.
Okay, so that would be me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Petoni Guy, and I attend the Manchester High School, the best school as stated before. I am currently in fifth form, and I currently serve as the events coordinator for the region. So I look forward to this event, and I hope we all learn something new and something that we can all apply in our everyday life. So yeah, let's have a great session, guys.
For sure. I'm hoping Dejanay Robinson can also unmute her mic. She is our regional treasurer.
Yes, hello everyone. Kishma, are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Hi, Kishma, are you hearing?
We're hearing you.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dejanay Robinson. I attend Hampton School, like Kishma. If you notice, we're all females here, like powerful women here. But my name is Dejanay Robinson. I serve as the treasurer for the region, and I'm happy that you all turned out. I hope that we can just vibe, have fun. Like big Rhodes Scholar, one of our very own from Jamaica. And I hope that you all have space. Open your camera if you want, honestly. But I had to be here because this is important. So please pay attention, ask your questions. You can put it in the chat, it's not too late. Thank you all for coming. Bye everyone.
Okay, great. And before our advisor, Miss Lawrence, our advisor for JPA, has to leave, I would appreciate if she could also introduce herself, tell us about how it is to be a youth leader.
I don't know why Akishma is setting me up this afternoon. I did not plan to come on camera. I was really the behind the scenes person, but nonetheless, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Let me first commend the members of the Jamaica Prefects Association. Big up yourself. I Akishma, Petoni, Kodia, Dijane, all of you, you have been working really, really hard. And I know that whenever Region 5, and I'm not going to be biased because I'm from Region 1, but nonetheless, whenever Region 5 comes out and they do their activity, I know that it's always a well done activity. And so I really just want to, just big them up today. And guess what? As they said, participate, ensure that you ask your questions, you have a Rhodes Scholar on, and of course to get that honor, it's something that you have to work really hard for. And so you are in the presence of great people, so don't take it for granted. Lean in, learn all you can, and at the end of the day, make some power moves, right? So thank you so much, guys. All the best to you and your team. I have to run, but I will be tuning into the rebroadcast on your YouTube channel, so looking forward to hearing the discussions. All the best, guys. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lawrence. We appreciate it so much. And our Rhodes Scholar is here just in time for us to get started. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we'll just start with an introduction by Dijane, so that we don't waste anybody's time and we can just get right into the questions. We don't want to waste your time either. Dijane, are you hearing us? Okay, in the meantime, you didn't get to hear when we introduced ourselves. My apologies about that. So yes, my name is Akishma. As you know, you've met me before, and I'm super excited to have you again. I am the VP for Region 5 JPA, and online we also have our events coordinator. Say hi to Tony.
Hello, Tonia. It's a pleasure to have you.
We also have our secretary, Kodia Allen.
Hi. Oops, wait, hold on 1 second. I have on 2 devices right now to make sure nothing goes wrong. Give me 1 second.
And Dijane that's totally fine. Dijane is our treasurer, and I am trying to get in contact with her right now.
I'm online, Akishma. Got
You're
bounced
on,
off.
oh,
Yes, I'm online.
okay, so you can go ahead.
Okay. So hello again, everyone, and hi.
Dijane, I think there is an issue. Can you hear us? All right, I'm not hearing Dijane. I don't think the rest of us are hearing her either. So we're gonna do a quick roll call. Kodia is gonna do a quick roll call in the meantime while we try to sort out the issue.
Okay, great. Is everyone hearing me, by the way? Okay, great. All right. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Tonia. I am Kodia. I'm very sorry that, my camera is not on at the moment. You look beautiful, by the way. And let's get into a roll call at the moment. So I had asked a few persons earlier to put their school name beside, their name in the Zoom chat, But for the interest of time, right now, I'm just going to call out a few school names. And guys, I need you guys to unmute and interact with me. So if you know, say you hear your school name, I need you to unmute and give your school some big ups, right? So I need to hear, you know, I don't want to see anything in the chat alone, you know, guys. I need to see that, you know, we are standing out and representing for our schools. So I'm wondering if there anyone here for Hampton, apart from Akishma and Dijane, Hampton, all the Hamptonians. Anyone on?
Yes, Hampton is here.
Yes.
That's right. Big and representing. All right. Do we have anyone from BB Coke or Homewood? Anyone from BB Coke or Homewood? Anyone from Mayday? Aberdeen, Black River. Anyone from Black River? I'm seeing someone in the chat from Black River. Mr. T. Clark, come and represent for your school.
Black River is here.
That's right. I like to hear it. Anyone
Homewood
from
is here.
Homewood? Okay, that's nice. Anyone from Lacovia? Anyone from Monroe? Where are our boys to stand out today? Anyone from Monroe? How about Bel Air? Let's bring it down a little bit. How about Bel Air or anyone of our girls from Bishop? Anyone from Bishop? Anyone from Dint Hill? See in the chat. Okay, so we have Miss Dint Hill. Okay, what school is this? HTMHS. I have no clue. Antoine, what school is that? Let me know. I have no school idea what that is. What other school do we have? We have Queens. Okay, that's nice. Representing from Queens, you have Cleonia. Am I pronouncing your name right? I am not sure, my love. Okay, and we have Manchester High, of course. You know, I'm here to represent. Me and Petoni here to represent always. Who else do we have? Anyone from Magotty? Cornwall College. I'm looking through the chat, guys. I'm looking through the participants. But yes, guys, we have a quite amount of people here. That's a great turnout, everyone. It's great that, you know, even during these times, you know, we always try our best to connect with as much schools as possible because, you know, overall, I mean, what can we do? We're all friends at the end of the day. We all get to meet each other and overall, you know, just come together and talk and vibe and, you know, overall get to meet amazing persons and learn about them personal life. And I hope Tony don't think so enough when the question them start coming and invade our personal space, guys. But, you know, we're here to learn because at the end of the day, the learning process never stops. You know, even as we get older, you know, what a normally say, I don't even know. You know, knowledge is key. You know, gives you wisdom as you get older, and I think that is what all of us need right now. And I'm personally say it. At one point, I did not even know what the Rhodes Scholar was. I was like, "What is this?" I heard somebody from Manchester High got it, and up till now, I think I still need a full explanation of what this scholarship is. So, you know, sometimes, you know, you might take things very, you know, small, take things for granted, but the question is, do you really know? Like, you know what Barry Jesus upon the radio, those who think they know but really don't know that they, if I something I know, I'm used to say it. But, you know, so today we're going to try our best to come up. We have a lot of schools. We have over, you know, about 7 schools from all over the country right now. So that's it for me, you know, guys. I'm gonna hand it over to you. I hope Dijane is here and ready to get up with the big bad introduction, the whole of us right now. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Kodia, as always entertaining us. I hope Dijane is ready also. Before Tonya can tell us exactly what a Rhodes Scholar is, as you mentioned, that's a great question. That's a great question. Dijane, are you available?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're hearing me. Are you hearing?
We're hearing.
Awesome. So today, a Rhodes Scholar is a former student of the Immaculate Conception High School in St. Andrew, Jamaica. She studied psychology at Vassar University in the US, and currently she's pursuing a master's degree in education at Harvard University. Tonya has always described herself as a big dreamer ever since she was a child. And when she was younger, she wanted to go into pediatrics because of her love for helping children and people who are younger than her, which is awesome for today because most of us here are younger than her. So I know that she has a wealth of knowledge to distribute to us. She has a love for the sciences and mathematics, and it led her to want to pursue a career in pediatrics. But, you know, plans change. She'll be heading to Oxford in the UK of this year in October to study for a Doctor of Philosophy. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our newest Rhodes Scholar for the country, Miss Tonya Williams.
Welcome, welcome. Send the applause in the chat, guys. We look forward to hearing from Tonya.
Yeah.
How are you, Tonya?
I am good. I'm a bit tired. I still have class today, but you know, otherwise feeling good. Yeah. And I think her name was Kodia. Kodia, I also didn't really know what the Rhodes Scholar was. Let me not lie to you. It's not like I wasn't working for this specific thing my whole life. I guess I only learned about it about 3 years ago or so, and I had planned to apply last year, and that didn't really work out for me. I didn't feel like it was my year, and so I reapplied this year. I can definitely tell you more about what the scholarship gives you, entails, etc.
Okay, we look forward to hearing more about it. I'm assuming that, of course, we're going to learn a lot more throughout this discussion. And so that's totally exciting. In the chat, we noticed that, people have called you out for being an aimer. So
I am. I worked at AIM. I didn't go to AIM, but I do work at AIM currently.
Well, I guess that still makes you part of the family. You're like that auntie or our mother to some people. And before we get to the official question, somebody else asked if you are currently in the UK.
No, I'm currently in the US. I currently go to Harvard, so I'm there for this semester until July.
Okay, that's great. That sounds exciting. So this is your last year at Harvard?
Yes, it's my only year at Harvard, actually. It was just a one-year program. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, so Petoni is going to manage the questions, basically. She's going to direct them to you. And if anybody else has anything to put in the chat, feel free to do so.
Okay, so can I go first? I don't know. Can I go first?
Ask Petoni. Petoni is in charge. Antonia.
Okay, Petoni, can I go first? Oh, all right.
Go ahead, Kodia.
No one.
I think Kodia really wants to go first.
Okay, all right. So overall, I wouldn't say a structured definition, but I want to know what is the Rhodes Scholar? It's a scholarship itself. What does it include? Some of the benefits. I know kind of get look of benefits, yeah, basically. And how were you chosen? I just want to get the basis of what it is.
Okay, so the Rhodes is a continuing education scholarship. So it's not for your first year. It's not for your first degree, your bachelor's. You can only use it after you already have gotten a first degree. So that's pretty much the first criteria. Then after that, they're looking for people who have leadership, interpersonal skills, you are dedicated to your extracurriculars. I've done the same extracurriculars for 9 years, 10 years. So, I would call myself dedicated in that way. The biggest thing is that it pays for your whole thing for 3 to 4 years of schooling. So, If you go back and you want to do a master's, that's only 2 years, they can pay for that and you can do a second master's. Or I'm doing a PhD, so that's 3 years. I'm using up my 3 years. If you wanted to go back and start over and be a doctor, you could do that. If you wanted to go back and start over with a different first degree, you could do that. They pay for the whole thing. They also pay for your flights there, which is nice. And they pay for your housing, which is also very nice. And your food, which is also very nice. Yeah, so that's kind of the biggest thing, how I was chosen. So the application process opens really, really early. That's how I would describe it, really early. Like you have to kind of decide before the summer of your senior year of college that that's what you want to do. So you start with an application that's 2 essays and 6 recommendation letters, which is a lot of recommendation letters, 4 academic, 2 professional, personal. I had great relationships with all my professors during my undergrad, so it was very easy for me to choose the 4 people. Then I had 2 professional recommendations as well. And then I waited a really long time to hear back. And then I heard back that I got the interview. They give you, I think, 6 weeks to prepare for the interview. So you have a lot of time. The interview is 2 parts. So the first part is like a social night where you get to meet all the other people. And up until that day, you don't know anybody else who's a finalist. So that was very nerve-wracking. But it was really cool to meet all the other people and like learn their stories as well. That's more informal, so you just kind of talk about current affairs, things like that. And then the next day you actually have your interview, which is a panel of I think 8 people, including the Governor General, and they ask you questions about like what you want to do in the future, things like that. Yeah. Somebody asked also, how does one obtain a Rhodes Scholarship? So that's like the logistical process. I think preparing yourself is like really putting yourself into your extracurriculars and really knowing why you're studying what you're studying, because that was what I felt I was missing last year. When I was applying on my final year of college, I felt like I didn't know exactly why I was studying what I was studying. But this year, the story kind of came very easily to me. So it was very easy for me to write the essays and talk about it. So yeah.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like you did a
honestly
lot.
does, like it's
Right?
giving bright people like such sparks vibes, like exactly overachiever, like oh my gosh.
No, this wasn't even, I didn't think I was going to get it, to be fair. I called my father right before and I said, might not get it. And he was like, why wouldn't you get it? And that's what I actually tell all my AIM students, like, if it's going to be somebody, why wouldn't it be you? And so I just kind of went in to the final thing with that mindset, and then it happened to be me. But I had my other PhD applications prepared and ready to go, fully expecting not to get it.
That's you being humble. Like we both know that you knew you had it in the bag because you had all these extracurriculars that you said for what, 9 to 10 years?
Yes. So my extracurriculars are very specific, is kind of how I would say it. So while I was at Immaculate, I was like in photography club. I was in the orchestra.
Oh my God, same.
I did like swimming for a little bit. I wasn't good, so I stopped. And then other than that, I did a lot of volunteering at schools because I loved working with children. So I volunteered at schools since I was in grade 8, straight up to this year. Like I still do this. So that has been something that's very easy. It's very easy to draw a line through my life with that extracurricular. While I was in college, I did way less extracurriculars just because I was busy. So I was in Caribbean Students Association, and that was like a very big a part of my life. It's all my friends. It's also like an easy way to get free Jamaican food abroad. And then, so that was my main thing. And then my other thing was I did things for residential life. I like making events for people, things like that. So I did that. And I also worked as a technician in a theater. So I can set up a theater from scratch now, just as like a fun other thing to do with my life.
That sounds pretty great. So I think that answered one person's question, what extracurriculars you did. And
Yeah.
I actually found that kind of surprising because I thought you would have said that most of your extracurriculars happened in college. So the ones from high school, they're still credible, they're still valid.
I just used it to make the story. Like you have to say like where you're coming from, because I could have gotten to college and be like, now I'm going to do all my extracurriculars, but I don't have any connection to my childhood. It's very easy to be like, oh, I started doing 19 things, but where did the motivation to do that come from? So I was able to say like, oh, I did this when I was in high school. This is what I love to do. So that's why I was able to do this. A lot of my other, this is like a little aim tip for people as well, is that anything that you do outside of learning in your classroom is an extracurricular. So if you go to events, if you participate in other things, anything outside of your classroom is an extracurricular activity. Do not undersell yourself. So I would go to a little networking event because my school was in New York. I'd go to New York City. I didn't want to pay for dinner in New York City, so I'd go to free networking events to eat dinner. And I put that on my resume. I was like, that's what I did. I went. You saw me there. Somebody saw me there. I signed into a register there. So I'm there. So don't undersell your activity. So I also had small non-extracurriculars, but other things that I did.
I think that's really great. I think that's a great tip to have because most of us here are in high school, so we're getting ready to apply for undergraduate school. And I didn't know that. I mean, we have spoken before. I wasn't a part of the AM family, but you know.
Sounds like you weren't listening, Akishma. Sounds like you weren't listening in our meeting.
Well, I applied already. I applied to schools already, and I did put down the things that you told me to write down. So hopefully it works out for me. Okay, there are a few questions in the chat. I don't know, Petoni, should we go to the chat first or do you want to do the questions from the Google form?
Okay, so I feel like we should do the questions from the Google Forms first. So we're not ignoring your question, guys. We're just coming back to them later. Okay, so the first question is, what do you believe is the most required attribute for college? What do they look for most? Is it the application, the grades, or etc.?
I think it's the application. It's the things that you do outside of the grades, because it's easy to get good grades if you only go home to study. If you don't do anything else, your good grades don't matter. But if you're able to get good grades or get like okay grades, but you're out here doing other things with your time, you know, for the summer, you're not putting up your foot watching Netflix. I love to put up my foot watching Netflix, but you're not doing that. You're really going out, you're trying to find things to do. You're showing your innovation. You're showing that you're passionate about things. You're showing you're interested in things. That's kind of I think that's the most important thing. In college, I also did like secondary reading of applications for people. So we read just to see what people, like what type of people we have applying each year. And that's usually what we leave the room discussing is, oh, that person was so cool. Like, I completely understand that you don't have all the resources in the world. You can't like save the planet, just you. But if that's something that's interesting to you, moving forward and trying to say like, okay, I like to do this. So I put myself in that position and using that to kind of craft your story.
Okay, so the next question is actually a three-part question. So what made you push yourself in your studies? How did you prepare for exams? And what was your process for going overseas?
What was the first one? What made me push myself? It was my mother. It wasn't me. Let me not lie to you. She really did have like a strictness about her when I was in like grade 7 to 9. So by the time I got to 10, 11, 12, I was really able to just push myself. Like she no longer had to be standing over me. Like I could do it by myself. For me, exam time was a time of sacrifice. I was like pretty good, so I wouldn't like use my phone. It was a different time. It's not like no, but I wouldn't like use my phone during the day. I wasn't allowed to watch TV. I wasn't allowed to like use my laptop freely during exams. I'm just thinking about it now. That's really bringing that back. But that was more like when I was studying for CSEC, but I also did CAPE 1. And when I was doing CAPE 1, I was just able to do this by myself. Like I didn't need to lose any of these privileges. I spent a lot of time studying. My studying method is writing down questions for myself. It's a study method that I used in CSEC. It's a study in CAPE, and now that I'm like in master's programs, I write down what I think they could ask me out of this, and then I match that when I do my past papers so that I can see which questions I'm thinking of. And then any question I don't think of, I try to say, like, why am I not thinking of that question? And that's how I did this whole CSEC CAPE thing. I also was very okay with not being good at certain subjects. I wasn't good at all the subjects right away. And like when I was able to be like, okay, I'm not good at this, let me go to these extras. I did that for 2 subjects, for bio, for chem in CAPE, for English Lit. Funny enough, for English Lit, it was my worst subject at Immaculate, worst subject. I was really scraping along. And I went to extras and I placed in Jamaica for English Lit. So things can turn around. You know, you have to really put the extra effort in though. And being just okay with yourself and being like checking in with what you actually know and what you don't know. Yes. So that's how I got through college. Well,
Okay.
high school.
So the last part of the question was,
Hold on,
what was
Petone. Oh, before you continue, there was one thing that you said that really stood out to me. Did you only do Unit 1 of CAPE?
Yes. So that's actually like a very important question for Elizabeth's question as well. So I did Unit 1 and then I went to boarding school and I did 2 years of boarding school, even though I had only 1 more year of high school left. And that's like, I prepared, like when you invited me, I prepared like, this is my biggest tip to anyone is you're not in any race to be anybody, to be an adult and have a boring life. You're not in any rush to spend your own money. You're not in any rush to work this 9 to 5. Right. So I only had 1 more year in Jamaica. Like I could have stayed there, done my 1 year. I'd be in med school, done, doing whatever. And I was like, but that's not really important for me right now. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see other places. And this was an opportunity for me to do that. So I added an extra year to my life in order to achieve that. And that boarding school experience like opened so many doors for me. My boarding school paid part of my scholarship to go to school in the US. I use the network even now. Like if I moved to Boston and I didn't know anybody, so I like reached out to the network, things like that. So being okay with shuffling your plans over in order to do things that you think will serve you now. So I did that. I kept the same mindset when instead of applying for PhDs last year, I just applied for master's programs when I knew I wanted to do the PhD and everybody was like, why are you wasting time? And I was like, I think that this will be good for me. And look at that. Look at it work out.
Yes, all right. Don't waste. We don't have to rush. We don't have to be trying to get to the finish line because, as you rightly said, it's just going to leave you with a bunch of responsibilities and adulthood. Like, who wants to be an adult?
It's really rough. It's really rough.
All right, go ahead, Tony.
Okay, so the last part of that question was, what was your process like going overseas?
Like process in terms of like applying or process in terms of like deciding to go overseas?
Deciding.
For me, I think I started doubting if I wanted to be a doctor, and this was one of my driving factors. I don't like hospitals, I don't like sickness. So it really wasn't a good career path for me when I look back at it. So I wanted to just have like a moment. I wasn't planning to come to the US really. I was really planning to just go do this like 2-year program and then come back to Jamaica and relax myself. And I really just enjoyed traveling and I enjoyed meeting new people. And I realized I'll always have Jamaica. I can always come back. I come back for all my breaks. So I can still keep connected to my family, keep connected to my friends there. So it became very easy for me to decide. And for the application part of it, I just kind of spent a long time agonizing over my essays and agonizing over the best ways to write my extracurriculars. And then other than that, it was regular academic things.
Okay, good. So on the topic, someone says, I'm currently in the process of applying for colleges abroad. Do you have any tips on how to write the personal essay?
This is a strange time to be applying for colleges abroad. The deadlines have passed, but I can still give like tips, I guess. So just like a general rule of thumb is making sure that you're telling a story that's true to you and couldn't be written by somebody else. So anytime you read your story, just be like, can some other random person in Jamaica have written this story? Because then it's not a good story. It's not a story about you. It's a story about like Jamaicans in general. Or is this story so good that it's not about you anymore? Like sometimes people like to really embellish things that have happened and you kind of write yourself out of the story. So they can no longer see like how this person who's written here and the person who submitted their grades and their activities are the same person. So when you're writing it, just be like, okay, I'm writing a story that only I could write. Yeah. And then be okay with telling a story that's not like, and then I saved the world. I wrote about Cersei Tea for my college essay and about how I don't like it. And that was it. And I got into college. So you can really just write about anything that's true to you.
Okay, so be yourself. That's noted. Okay, so the next question is, are there any scholarships available for persons who don't have the financial need?
So that's called financial aid, and most schools in the US do offer it. You can just look up the school name and then financial aid, and it will tell you if you're eligible and how much money you're eligible for.
Okay, so how did you know that the transition from Jamaica to overseas was the right thing?
I don't think that's ever something that you can know, Every single day I wake up and I said, I'm having this cereal for breakfast instead of a stewed chicken and fried dumpling. Every day. And it's mostly because I'm too lazy to cook the stewed chicken. But I don't think that feeling ever like goes away. It's just for right now, this is something that's serving me. I am happy in my choices right now. And as soon as it's no longer serving me, I can always go back home. But really checking in with yourself and being okay with looking for community places. So like I had to find this Jamaican community there because otherwise I think college would have been really difficult for me. So being okay with looking for this community.
Okay, so the next time I have some stewed chicken and fried dumpling, I will remember you. Okay, so the next question is, how did you deal with managing your responsibilities and time?
So in high school, I just kind of did the same thing every single week, so I didn't have that as much. In college, I would make to-do lists, and I currently still make to-do lists. I don't like block out my hours. Like I'm not like, oh, between 2 and 3, I'm going to do that. That can't work for me. Like if 2 o'clock come and I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. But instead I put it and I say, okay, this is what I want to get done. These are my 3 priorities, and everything else, if it doesn't get done, is okay. Everything else, if it doesn't get done, is okay. And my trick to making myself feel better, because sometimes I don't get the 3 things done, is putting other things on the list after the fact. So even if I made the list already, if I did something else and I'm proud of myself, if I made the stewed chicken and I'm proud of myself, I write it down. And so when I look back through my notebook where I wrote all of my to-do list, I can be like, oh, look at how much I accomplished this day, even if it wasn't the things that I first wrote down. Also, getting ahead of your assignments. I am the person who does the assignment the day that it's given. This is a personal choice, just because the stress of doing it the night before is a little too much for me. So I do it in advance, but do what fits you.
Okay,
I love the to-do list tip because I am so disorganized and so overwhelmed these days, especially with JPA. JPA is so stressing. Oh my gosh. But I love it still. I love helping tutorials like that. But,
That's legit me right now.
Right? So I'm definitely gonna do what you tell me to, what you mentioned, because sometimes I beat myself up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. But there really just isn't enough hours in the day.
For to-do list, I also suggest like separating it, like academic and personal to-do list. And you can't only do things from your academic to-do list. Like life isn't just academics. Like you have to take care of yourself and you have to remember to do things. So even if it's a small thing like remembering to make your bed or remembering to put away your shoes, if that's something that you have an issue with, just writing that on your list as well so that you can have that and you're developing both your academic and personal self.
Yes, I think all of us will definitely listen to that. That was a great tip. Go ahead, Petone.
Definitely. So the next question is, how do you balance having a personal life with school? So this is my question because I am struggling with keeping up. So yeah.
One thing I can tell you is that high school is the most work you'll ever have to do. Ever. Like I can't remember a time that I was ever so busy. Like going to school all day? Never heard of that. Now I have the same five.
Can I say the ghetto?
Legit about to say that, like, so ghetto.
So I have I take 5 subjects, just like you take 5 subjects, 5 courses. And I'm in some of these courses an hour and 15 minutes a week. That's it. It's more work outside, like you have to prepare for class, things like that. But a college tip is choosing classes that allow you to be productive in the times that you are productive. So I take a lot of my classes, except for this year that I didn't have the choice, but I would take a lot of classes at 9 o'clock in the morning because I prefer to have my afternoon free. And then you said, and your personal life, my friends know I'm the queen of, if you ask me to come out, I'm going to come out. If you ask me to go somewhere, don't worry about it. I'm probably going to come. Even if you only ask me 5 minutes before. Unless I'm in my bed, I'll probably come. Just because I value my friendships, I think that's also very important. And having people to lean on, like especially as I travel or move to new places, is very important to me. So I make the time for that. So on my to-do list, I also have like hang out with my friends, reach out to my friends, like connect with my friends, FaceTime with my friends, things like that, just because that's something that's important to me. Or adding your friends to your routine. So I had a friend that we had no classes together in my senior year, but we would go for lunch together every single Wednesday for the whole year. And that was just something that we did, and it was an easy way for me to like keep connected with them.
I would show you my to-do list, but there are a lot of things on it, and I don't want to feel like I'm not doing anything, so we will not be sharing that.
Just take half of it, write it on another page, and call that a day.
And what I do is I put things that I've done already on it and cross it out and say, I did something.
It's the best way.
So the next question is, where are the best places to look for scholarships?
So if your parents can't afford it, I think the best place to look is financial aid, just because it has nothing to do with your grades. It's just about if you can afford it. So if that's your reason, go there. Otherwise, I just search up like the school and then scholarships usually, or something about you and then scholarships on Google. And usually there's like websites that come with entire lists. Look in advance. So if you're not applying till next year, look this year for ones that have already passed. So you can make a list of them and you can check for them next year when they reopen.
Okay. The next question is, what are the driving factors behind your success?
As I said, it's like my parents first. Like they've definitely had, like I don't think I'd have the work ethic that I do if it wasn't for them. And then it's also choosing the right friends. It's easier said than done, of course. But my friends were more excited about the Rhodes Scholar than I was. I wasn't telling anybody. I never brought it up. Like I will walk into a restaurant right now, my friends will be like, this is the Rhodes Scholar. And I'm like, the reservation is on the Williams. I don't know. please just let me have my dinner and go. But making sure that you know that you have people in your corner is like definitely one of the things that drives me. And then the last thing that drives me is like my passion for what I want to study. It took me a while to figure out like how I could help children without working as a pediatrician or without working directly with children, because that's not something that I'm interested in doing full time. But as I figured that out, it became very easy. Like, I know that this is what I want to do. A PhD is 3 years of studying the same thing. Like, you don't even take classes, you just go into your lab and you just work on this one thing. But it's something that's very important to me, very interesting to me. I think it will have big impacts. So that's what currently drives me. It's actually about Jamaica.
Okay, so the next question is, how was your journey?
It's been rocky. I don't know. Sometimes I really doubted myself a lot, convincing my parents that I should move to Europe at 17. That was a lot. Convincing them that I wanted to move to the US after that. That was a lot. Convincing them that now I'm going to move to the UK was much easier. They've gotten used to my foolishness. But I think having to figure out how to convince people of things makes you sometimes doubt your own choices. So that was probably the hardest part. But other than that, I don't know, I did reasonably well in high school. And so I was just relaxing for the most part, doing my extracurriculars. Yeah.
Okay, so Akishma, I'm going to ask for your help with reading the questions in the chat, please.
Okay, no problem. But a quick question I have, right? For me personally, I have this thing in the back of my mind where I'm like, do I really want to study abroad? I'm gonna lose all of my friendships. Everybody's just gonna go their separate ways. Is it worth it? How did you deal with always traveling to new places, meeting new people?
I think it's hard. Like, it's very, very, very hard, especially I think more so after my boarding school. It was very hard. At my boarding school, I was around the same people 24/7 for 2 years. So that was very hard for me to then move to the US. But just knowing that I still had these connections, like any connection that you feel is strong in your heart, it's probably strong. And you can just maintain that friendship. If it's so important to you, reach out to your friends, text your friends. And that became an easier part. And just knowing that once you already started traveling, you can travel to visit them. So you can travel to see people, you can go to new cities, you can go to new countries. And once if you're already in the US, you might as well go to visit somewhere else in the US to visit your friends. And you're always free to come home and see your friends here. Sometimes it was hard. Even now, for example, it's hard. All my friends live in a different state than I do. All my friends from college, and they hang out without me. How dare they? But it's because they live in the same city. So sometimes it's just being okay with being okay, but my connection to them has nothing to do with the fact that they are hanging out. My connection to them is still equally as strong. Just, it doesn't matter that they're hanging out without me. So, becoming very content with that thought has made it much easier.
Okay, great. I think sometimes we have to put ourselves first too. When you think about it, what's the bigger goal? All right, so I'll go over to the chat now. Ariana White asked, is V Kativu, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, one of your inspirations?
So I actually didn't know about V until she came to Harvard to give a speech this past year, well, a couple months ago. So I didn't really know her before that, but I do love her content. She's a YouTuber. She goes to Oxford, but she went to Oxford for her undergrad and then Harvard for her master's, similar to what I did. She's also, I think her master's is in the same school that mine is in. But do love her. It's good to have good inspirations. So if she's your inspiration, definitely continue. Definitely look into how you can follow in her paths.
Okay, great. Siobhan Burnett asked, how many persons receive the Rhodes Scholarship each year?
So each country has a specific number. So Jamaica has one. So I was the Rhodes Scholar for Jamaica this year. The rest of the Caribbean has one. But I think total it's 186, I think, over 80 something countries.
That's very small. I thought it would be way more than that, to be honest.
Why would it be more than that? Do you hear all the things they're paying for?
That's true. That's true. That's true. I'm not sure. I think you touched on this already, but Elizabeth asked, what was your transition from secondary school in Jamaica to university overseas like?
Yeah, so as I said, it was like hard at first, great once I was there, hard when I had to leave different places, but feels worth it now, so it doesn't matter.
All right, good. Did you use the Common App to apply?
To undergrad, yes.
For the master's, how did you go about doing that?
Master's, you apply directly to the school. So you apply to individual schools. It's actually quite expensive of a process. Because for the Common App, you can like apply for financial aid to pay for your applications, things like that. But for master's, because you pay out of pocket, so to speak, they're like, if you can't afford the $85, you can't afford to come here. Even if you come in on scholarship, they're like, that doesn't matter. Yeah. So I did limit how many, I applied to way more undergraduate schools than I did graduate schools.
So for your undergrad application, you were able to waive the fee?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Like I think it's like if your parents make under a certain amount, you can just ask your guidance counselor to go in and tick that you're eligible.
It's a simple process. It's not like CSS profile stress.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like, it's just like, this is a fact.
Okay, I should have done that then. But I didn't want to go through the stress.
Honestly.
All right, Jeremy Gilbert asked, do you know of any Jamaican organizations that give an international scholarship? I'm not having much luck finding them.
I don't think I know any, actually. There are people who give scholarships, like if your parents work there. I know about that type of scholarship that you can use wherever, because it just goes to your parents' bank account. But I think scholarships in the traditional sense of the word, I don't really know any organizations. I think this would be something that you'd have to ask companies for.
Oh, okay. And Siobhan also asked, were you familiar with anyone when you first moved abroad?
I moved to Eastern Europe, so I didn't know anyone at all. I knew the people who were going to my school from a Facebook group that we were all in, that they threw us in. But other than that, I showed up on the first day to another Eastern European country to get the visa for the country that I was moving to. A lot of struggles. And it was me and two other girls from Southern Africa, and they just told us to get our visa by ourselves. And I was very stressed, and I cried on the plane. Like, this lady beside me was like, are you okay? And I couldn't stop bawling. And the flight attendant came and I was like, Tony, you're looking like a mess. Pull yourself together. Pull yourself together. And I went to the bathroom on the plane and I washed my face and I sat back down and I was fine. And I pushed through for the rest of the time. When I actually moved there, it was also very overwhelming at first. But there's a lot of people who are in the same boat as you. There's a lot of people who also are leaving home for the first time. And it's very easy to bond with them over that. And no, it wasn't Ukraine, it was Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Can you repeat the country?
Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Oh my gosh, you went to some far away fairy tale land.
I didn't even know it was a real country up until like the year before that I applied to this program.
And your parents weren't afraid that you'd
They
be
were.
abducted?
They were, but my parents, they believe that I make choices that are sound, choices that are well researched, choices that are good for myself. And so they were like, okay, if this is something that you really want to do, They would support me. And of course, they were like worried when I first went there. I didn't even have a phone, couldn't call them to tell them that I reached. Like I didn't have a SIM card. I had a phone, but didn't have a SIM card. It wasn't the olden days, guys. I just didn't have the SIM card. So I couldn't like text them to say that I reached for like hours. And so of course they were worried, but they were okay. They're okay now. I tell them all the time that I want to go back to visit, and they're like, I don't see why.
Sounds great. Sounds really amazing. I don't want to take up your time, too much of your time anymore, because I know you have other obligations. But I have a question though. Where would you say was your favorite destination? Like, where was your favorite place to live?
To live? Like if I can't choose Jamaica. So my favorite place is to live in Jamaica, but like I love going home. Like I count down the days till my house. But if I had to choose somewhere else, I'd probably choose France. I only lived there for a little bit of time, but it was recently, so I remember it well. And it was like a nice experience. For like the experience, I'd say France. For the people, I'd say Bosnia, just because it was 2 years, like definitely like 2 of the best years of my late adolescence into adult life. Yeah, if there's any like final questions, I do have until 6. So
Okay, great. Yes.
any burning questions?
Go ahead, guys. You can unmute your mic.
I have one.
Yeah.
Hearing me properly?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't want to sound any particular way, but I just want to know, as a Black person, how was the experience for you as it relates to how they relate? I mean, not your people that you are around, your classmates and stuff, your environment. Did you feel welcomed? Just asking.
So that's like a very valid question. I think when I was in European countries or Asian countries or something, I can see like some people have never seen Black people before. Of course, you're going to be like, what's happening here? Like if you've fully never seen a Black person before, I'm going to be like a wonder. And I remember it was my second day in Bosnia, like, again, like maybe 4th day away from my house, second day in Bosnia. And I went to the supermarket and the lady was like, can I just rub your skin? And she said this to somebody else who was translating to me. I didn't understand these people. So she like rubbed my skin and we took a picture together. And then I was on the wall of the supermarket, like a little photo of little me, just tears behind my eyes. So in situations like that, I don't feel like fearful, just because it's more about they don't know anybody who looks like me, which is okay. I remember during the Black Lives Matter protests, for parts of it, like I had just come back to the US from Jamaica, and I was like, this is so worrying. Like there's people who like don't think that Black lives matter. Like I just like this is so strange. And where my college was, like my college was democratic, liberal, all the things that I love. And across the street was Confederate flag people. And I was very stressed in that moment, but felt fine, felt good. If people want to stare, they want to stare. Staring kills no one. You know, people want to ask me questions, like being okay with people considering you to be like a novel thing is like also good mindset to have.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Actually don't know how many countries I've been to, but I can like count it in my head in the meanwhile. Yeah, I think in my first year of leaving home, I went to the US because I had to like buy stuff to go abroad. And I went to Turkey to get my visa. I went to Bosnia. I went to Croatia, Slovenia, Italy, came back to Bosnia, and then came home. And then the year after that, I went to like some other European countries. The strangest place that I've been to is Qatar. where an education conference paid for my trip. So I was like, I guess I'll go. Yeah, so that's how I knew that I could go into education as a profession subject. Master's.
Okay, so in the next few years, that is how I want to respond when someone asks me, how many countries have you gone to? Because that is life.
COVID definitely did like stand in my way. Yeah, like it did stand in my way. Like I haven't really been, I don't think I've been anywhere since COVID. I went home and then I went back to the US. So yeah. But hopefully next year I'll be back to it, back to seeing other countries.
You seem to be able to know exactly what to do to get other people to pay for these trips. So can you just like tell us how you find all of these resources?
It's definitely easier once you're in college, it's easier. So I went to a small college so that I could tap their money a bit more, if that makes sense. So my college paid for me to go to France because they had a study abroad program that they actually suggested and encouraged people to take advantage of. So I went there with that. I just also like to, one of my things on my to-do list is productive procrastination. So I'm allowed to not do my schoolwork, but I have to be doing something else to better my life. I can't be relaxing. So I would like look up conferences, and then I would look up like scholarships for these conferences or funds for these conferences. And people sometimes just believe you. Like I went to this conference on education. I didn't study education. I studied psychology. I did research on rats. Like that was my thing. Like I knew nothing about education. To be fair, I'm now in education, but at the time, I knew nothing about it. But I was like, this is something I'm interested in learning about. And they said, okay, sure, we'll pay for you to come. And it was really cool. So yeah, being okay with just searching things up. There's actually a lot of things. Less so during, I did do research on rats, but actually it's mice. My professor was very upset. Yes, but I would say look them up, especially as young people. I'm about to age out of these free travel things. So you guys should really tap into that. Just go online and look up fully funded opportunities, students, high schoolers, teens, college students, things like that. You just Google that. There's websites dedicated to it. You look it up, you look if Jamaica is eligible, and then you just apply. And if you don't get it, you're in the same position. You lose absolutely nothing by applying. Like it doesn't cost you any money to apply. And if you don't get it, you just where you are. So yeah. Okay, what are your best tips when traveling? I like to travel with everything that I love in my carry-on. I love a carry-on. I traveled to Jamaica for like 1 month with just a carry-on. My parents think I'm crazy. It doesn't make any sense. But I think it works well when I like think about a life of traveling, because I can always have the things that I love with me. So that's what I do. Getting very good at doing visa interviews. Jamaica is not the strongest passport in the bunch. And sometimes like not having a strong passport does hold you back from being able to travel like on whim. Like I can't decide to go to Germany tomorrow. That's not how this works. Like I have to want to go in a month's time, apply, get my paperwork, da, 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 da. So I got very good at visa things. I have like a folder on my computer that's like scan off my birth certificate, scan off my passport, scan off all the things that I might need, so that at any time that I want to travel, I have the things that I need. Do I speak any languages besides English? I speak French, quote unquote, fluently. And when I lived in Bosnia, I could also speak Bosnian. It took 2 years to be slightly good, but yeah, I could get around if needed. Order a taxi if needed.
That totally makes sense. So you've never regretted any of your trips before?
I don't regret them after I leave. Like sometimes you have like tough times when you're in somewhere. And then I'm like, oh, I should just go home. I should just go home. But I also have that on semi good days here. So like I will go to my friend's house and be having oxtail, and I'll be like, if I was at home, my mother would be making oxtail for me. If I was at home, I could have oxtail any day if I was at home. I wouldn't be paying a lot of money. Oxtail costs so much money here. It costs a lot of money in Jamaica too, to be fair, but it costs so much money here. And even though I'm having such a great time because I'm eating Jamaican food, I'm still like looking forward to like being able to be at home and have the things that I take for granted or took for granted.
Okay. Are there any last minute final questions?
Unforgettable moments while traveling. Now I'm like thinking, it's like I have to now think of the country, think of the place, really digging up my mind. I think my most recent unforgettable travel moment was when I went to Qatar on this conference. And in Qatar, they have royalty called sheikhs. And like queens, the equivalent of queen is sheikha. So we were at this conference and the sheikha was there as like a guest because it was like a nice fancy conference. And I was looking for the bathroom and I was looking on my phone to look at the map to navigate this place because I couldn't read some of the signs. And I almost bumped in, like physically bumped in to the royalty of Qatar. And you could just see her bodyguards like staring me down. And you could see everybody else that was on this trip with me worried that I was going to get deported or something. I don't. And I remember just like, I forgot that I needed to pee. I forgot that I needed anything. But then she was really nice. And she took a photo with us. So now I have that picture. She was like, it's okay. And I was like, I'm so sorry. This was just the other day. I wasn't the child in this situation. But I felt like a child in that moment. Yeah. So I think that's my like most recent one, or when I got lost in China because I was in charge of reading the signs. And as I mentioned, I don't speak Chinese. So I couldn't read the signs and didn't know that the train station was going to close. And I didn't know any of this. So we got stuck. So those are like the ones that I hold them dear to my heart now, but in the moment, that's actually quite panicked.
All right. So do you have any final tips, maybe about surviving traveling or surviving college before you leave?
I think my tip will be like a surviving college tip, and it's to actually make good connections with your professors. Like, I don't think I would be able to do some of the things that I've done without knowing that my professor is going to write this good recommendation. Like, I have zero doubt in my mind that any professor would write anything bad about me. Like, of course, there's professors that didn't like me. That's okay. That's okay. But the professors that I chose to be close with and they know me well. One of my professors, I was saying like, oh, I want to apply to this company for an internship. This was before I was going to do this PhD. And he was like, oh, let me just connect you with somebody at this company and like set me up with this woman who's now helping me to get this internship. So it's really taking advantage of like, they want to help you. They want you to succeed. They want you to be a success story that came from their line. So really taking advantage of like meeting people, being nice. That's what people like to say about me, is that sometimes I'm too nice. But nice has gotten me this far without like stepping on people. So I feel pretty good about that. So when you go to college or anything, anywhere you're going, university, whatever you're doing, just making sure that you're connecting with people and maintaining these connections, truthful, genuine connections. You can't connect with everybody. So if it's not there, it's not there, but truthful, genuine connections with people.
Great tip. I'll definitely keep that in mind. But just one last question, one final question. While you're at Harvard now, you're at an Ivy League. I'm not sure if you're there physically or are you doing online classes?
I'm there physically.
Okay, great. How do you feel like? Are the people snobbish? Do they throw their richness in your face? That's
Not really. I didn't go to Harvard undergrad, which is where this like bigger stereotype does come from, is from their undergrad. But I go to the grad school. So there's people who've been working for like 15 years and me in the same class. So it's a different feeling. But this is just like a little note, a little grandmother's wisdom for you all. Somebody can't be better than you and in the exact same position as you. That doesn't make any sense. If you're better than me, then how come we go to the same school? Let's get into it, you know? So making sure that when you go into any space, go into any room, go into anywhere, like no one there is better than you. And that's like something that I use when I go into like meetings with like people who are like scary, big, like head up things. I can be like, okay, it's fine. We can have this respect. We can have this like hierarchy. But like if I'm in a class and somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to take my Porsche out. I'm like, okay, great. Great. But you're going to go sleep at the same dorm that I live at. So how does that make sense? Let's think about that. So keep that in mind when you're doing things. Just, yeah, nobody that's in the same position as you can be better than you.
I'll definitely do that. As Dijani said, solid advice. I think all of us should do that. Just hold our own, be confident, stand strong. So yeah, I think there are quite a few things that I took from this, especially the part where you said anything outside of class is an extracurricular. Because a lot of time I'm like, am I doing enough? All of this stress, and I feel like at the end of the day, I'm still not doing enough. But I guess it depends on your goals.
Yeah, because if you get into a lot of things last minute, then you don't have that track record of working on it. So it almost doesn't matter. You want the track record. So they can be like, oh yeah, she's always been into this. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Good point. That's a good point. So I hope a lot of us will take that and keep that in mind and set our lives on the right path towards college. Yes. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I believe all of us had a great time and we really love that you came out, and Petoni's going to do the official vote of thanks. But I would just personally love to say thank you so much for coming out, taking time out of your busy schedule. It was great talking to you.
Well, thanks for having me.
So not Akishma stealing my role, but I do apologize for not being able to turn on my camera. My laptop is dying, so yeah, I do hope you hear me properly. So on behalf of the Jamaica Prefects Association, Region 5, the best region, I might add, even though you're from St. Anne, this is a big moment, but we would like to thank you for taking the time out to actually engage with us. I believe we all have gained something from this session. And personally, this has really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And looking forward, I believe that all of us, sorry about that. I believe that all of us will So I believe that all of us will apply this in our everyday life, and these tips will actually make life better. So I want to thank you again because it was truly amazing. So thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. And just remember, nobody's better than you. Be okay with delaying your plans, because when you're okay with delaying your plans, then things come to you. Like blessings will just fall into place because it knows that it has the space to get set up. But if you stick to your plan, then you're actually closing yourself out for some of the blessings that you could be receiving. So best of luck. Akishma, you can feel free to share my email if somebody does want to reach out. And I'd be happy to like reach out over email or Zoom or whatever.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. I'm sure that people have thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you for coming. We're glad to have you. Okay, before you all leave, we have a few announcements. I'm really glad that all of you came out. I'm so happy to have you all here. I get the impression that you appreciated Tonya being here. So I'm really grateful for that. Alicia, do you have something to say? Okay, sorry. All right. So yeah, was it a great day, guys? Was it a great event? Give us some feedback. I think Tonia's gone now. So it's just us. It was. Okay, I'm super happy to hear that. Super happy. And Region 5 actually has an event coming up next week. And it's supposed to be really big, supposed to be really fun. And we want everybody to come out. So I'm gonna have a drum roll for Tonya to announce that, not Tonya, Kodia, to announce that next event right now.
Good night, everybody. Good night. No, not true. I'm very sorry. I must night. We had such a great session. I'm pretty sure I said, I'm not a dry window and everything, you know. But anyways, guys, what am I supposed to say? That was just like, you know, when you just seems your eyes are open about certain things and you just have to sit down and just take in all the information and, you know, just be re-inspired each day. That's exactly what, you know, Tonya brought to us this evening. And I personally want to say thank you. I don't think there's anything else I could possibly say, but thank you. But, you know, skipping right in before we close off is into our, you know, our big, you know, announcements, as Akishma would say, and we will be having a movie day, guys. So, I mean, you know, I wouldn't say we've been gatekeeping some of our events because apparently it's going around that Region 5 is going to have another beach cleanup. Something bigger and better. I've been hearing everybody's spreading it at Chester right now, but guys, we are going to be having a movie day, like, you know, one big old movie day, and we will be having it at Steps, guys, you know. So for the people them in Manchester, we can get a little drive out, you know, a little something, and you know, I don't know how many of you received the emails from your school. So basically, you know, we will be placing donation boxes in majority of our schools, you know, in the main office or in a central area. But, you know, to kind of keep things exciting and keep things moving, we were, you know, planning to have a competition of the best decorated donation box. With that being said, the persons who, you know, would be selected or who would have won the best donation box would receive VIP tickets to our movie day at Stes. I don't know about you guys, you know, but when I hear VIP, I hear big things and races a movie day, and that sounds like free food. So, guys, you know, you have to try your best to help us, you know, support us. And at the end of the day, who don't want to watch a movie, like, you know, like, who don't want to watch a movie with your friend them, like, come on, you can't just lock up in your room all day and watch Netflix alone. I mean, nothing's wrong with that, but, you know, you get a chance to go out and, you know, have fun. It's supposed to be planned for in March, guys. You know, March is pretty soon. And, you know, we just want to come out and have a little fun. And, I mean, who don't want to support JPA Region 5? Guys, we are the best region. I'm a type of stresses. All of them want to talk about Region 1, Region 3, Region 7. Like, No, it is Region 5. So guys, please come out and try and support our movie day. It's supposed to, as Petoni said in the chat, March 4th. You know, we're trying our best to finalize everything and get things down to the T so that we can come out and have fun and meet each other. Like, come on, we want to meet each other and socialize and just overall have fun while trying our best to keep safe. So I don't know.
Like on the